streaming.
Like
today.
Scoob.
Wrong button.
Like Scoob. Rut-row raggy.
Okay, I think we're live. Let me double check here. Yep. I think
we're
good.
not.
All right, we are live. Cool. All right, let's go. Welcome to the Lovecraft Tapes. I am Jeremy, your keeper of arcane lore, and we play Call of Cthulhu, a horror role-playing game based upon the fictional works of H.P. Lovecraft. Your investigators of the unknown are Matt as Private Detective Dan Williams.
Oh, shoot. And me on a nice day without my picnic basket.
Picnic basket.
Hey, boo-boo.
Brian as Dr. Hubert Pretorius Loveland.
They really need to put steps on those damn boats.
And Gabe as Special Agent Roy Arroyo.
I'm going to be honest, I forgot that we say something to start the show.
That's on brand, I think. That's fine. All right, well, welcome, players. I think we should begin tonight by checking the mailbag for any letters from beyond. And shuffle.
It's a sack, you jackass.
It's a sack, not a mailbag. On Facebook, we got a very nice message from Elizabeth Ann Laverne Clark. And she said, just binged the whole podcast in the last 2 weeks, and I wanted to shoot you a message saying that I love it. I can't wait to see Sam with her new powers in some sort of action, even if it is just one scene of her berating Dan. I will be very sad if they are done as a couple. I also have to thank you for leading me to the Hell in Texas scenario. I'm going to a gaming convention in Dallas first weekend of April, which is well past, and I'm going to run Hell in Texas there. Thanks for the hours of listening.
Yay.
Oh, you're
brilliant.
Your enthusiasm is boundless.
Woohoo.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Enthusiasm costs extra.
Oh, we'll get to that in a moment. From Joey Friel. Joey Friel says, so I started listening to your podcast a few weeks ago, and I've already made it to the Hell House. I have a lot of driving for my work, LOL. I love the characters and all the scenarios you've done. I've never played Call of Cthulhu, but have been in and ran many D&D campaigns. The best part of your whole series by far has been meeting the Arroyos. No joke, I cried the whole 15 minutes that spanned from laughter. Great on-the-spot role-playing and impromptu imitations. And maybe if you look out for the mole people and not let the air out of my tires and not catch the shed on fire and then lie about it and your mom wasn't an idiot, this wouldn't happen. LOL, I died. You guys are just the bee's knees.
Hilarious. It's not my fault the mole people live in the shed.
Hilarious, quality, terrifying entertainment at its best. Looking to start supporting your Patreon as soon as I get a second job. Hope you guys are doing great. Keep up the awesome work.
Thank you so much.
Well, you don't have to give us the entirety of your paycheck from your second job, but I'm not going to stop you. So.
What you don't realize is that wasn't improv. It was just a script that I took out of my everyday life.
Everyday life. Yes.
Everyday people.
You told the kids to be quiet, and we just ran with it.
The best part was I didn't have to do anything. So.
Well, you had to play Raymond, so.
Yeah, well, that was easy, though.
Hey, Dad, can I have a hug?
All right, let's switch on over to Reddit, where we have a very lengthy piece of feedback, which we appreciate, from Weather on Titan. I started listening to this podcast about a month ago, and as of last night, I am up to date. I've been thinking of writing a wee rave, but the finale of Hell House sealed it for me. I've enjoyed every scenario, Chuck being grumpy, Samantha sweet-talking everyone, and Dan and Brenda zooming around. I loved Samantha's blossoming relationship with Katie, Dan's burgeoning movie career, and the quietly creepy stuff like Chuck's recurring shower hallucinations. The waking up in modern times was an awesome twist. Dan and Samantha being a couple took me by surprise, but quickly grew on me as they worked well together. I was sad to hear about the relationship problems in between the contented cow and my life scenarios, but dealing with Roy seems to get them on the same team again. Samantha's recent descent into crazy land is fascinating but disturbing, but Jack's slow reveal of his voodoo side has been interesting too, particularly with the Skinner plus FBI agents bit near the end of Hell House. And poor crispy Roy. He shot that phone so good. Aaron is nearly as polar opposite in approach to interactions, and the contrast is superb. I don't usually comment on things, but I've been thinking about it since episode 31.1. Because, holy hell, Matt, that voicemail Dan left Samantha was raw. The role playing on this podcast is pretty quality, but that voicemail was next level. You can hear the drinks. You can hear the emotional roller coaster. You can hear his thoughts and the silences between. The combination of backstory and added context to the last two scenarios was delightful, then emotional. Dan is usually pretty happy to let the others lead the direction of play, and it was obvious he cared about Samantha, but damn, the stuff about her filling the wounds the war gave him? Intense. I loved it. It was amazing. How dare you break up with her? Good for you. You deserve to be treated better. Remarkable. And the Hell House finale? With Kelly's ghost? And the shadow spooks? And the creature under the house? And oh my god, they were all going to die. And then Roy shows up? Healthy? Spouting a ritual? Fuck yeah, Roy, go! You good thing, how epic. And then he speaks in Samantha's voice and bitches out Dan for the voicemail? Sweet, utter, diabolical perfection.
Yeah, I don't think you can get much better than that. How much did we pay her for that?
That was what, 50 cents a word?
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
$100. No big deal.
So I got a second mortgage on my house.
For that Weather on Titan. That was very nice and well said.
It made every one of our day that day when we got that.
Oh, yeah.
We even sent it to Chuck.
And finally, on Twitter, I wanted to give a special shout out to Tess at RPG_casts for her tireless efforts to promote inclusivity and diversity in the gaming community. Thank you, Tess.
Yes.
Nothing more inclusive than 4 white guys playing.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, we have 2 special announcements. We have officially launched our Patreon page. Or is it Patreon? I don't know.
Patronize.
We have officially launched our patronizing page.
You visit it, and we berate you about all of your shortcomings.
You're like, oh, that certainly looks good on you. Yeah, you should always wear that.
When are you going to clean your room? It looks like a pigsty.
We have officially launched...
thigh?
Yeah.
In my eye. We have officially launched our Patreon page. I'm going to say it again, Patreon. We have officially launched our Patreon page. If you'd like to support our humble podcast, please go to patreon.com/Lovecraft Tapes and kick in some dough. We have assembled some awesome rewards at different levels of support, so check them out. Again, that's patreon.com/Lovecraft Tapes. And now we have branded merchandise at teespring.com/stores/Lovecraft Tapes, including #TacoFish shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, and more. Again, that's teespring.com/stores/Lovecraft Tapes.
//
And as always,
you can sponsor us.
Yeah, and you can find these links and more anytime at thelovecrafttapes.com. I know. Big breath. So,
that's our show. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Exactly. Oh, crap. Is that true? What time is it?
Time to
let's make some money with the sponsors.
Time to pay the bills. Let's take a quick commercial break. And we're back.
I couldn't believe that. It was very sad.
I feel bad for our live viewers.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. We put them through so much.
All the time.
And they have to sit through that thing. Like,
I believe you mean our live viewer.
Gee, glad that's over.
Thanks, Mom.
Now, dear investigators, we continue. Chapter 6, The Big Uneasy. Previously on the Lovecraft Tapes. Roy recovers from another strange fainting spell in the Laplace Library, and 2 mysterious black dots appear on the back of his neck, which are misdiagnosed as snake bites by Dr. Pretorius. The trio tries to grab some local grub at Billy's Big Bass and Whatnot, but Dan manages to offend the owner-proprietor by suggesting he upgrade his cuisine to #TacoFish. Luckily, Edgar from the travel center pulls up to the closed fish shack just in time to invite them back to his office for some delicious Quaker oatmeal. The old man tells the investigators about some recent grave robbing across the river and how one of the bodies was found with a strange tattoo on the back of his neck. A tattoo that resembles the one on the dead intruder back in Blaine Manor. Dan finds a faded brochure with an image that faintly resembles the churchyard that Roy sketched previously. A brochure for the old Laplace Memorial Cemetery. Following Edgar's advice, the three detectives employ Rosita at the Swamp Tours cabin, and she takes them through the river system until they arrive at their destination. Gentlemen, you are standing at the eastern entrance to the cemetery. And I'll go ahead and move your thing.
Move my thing.
There you go.
Sicko. That's the thing I wanted to see earlier.
Yes. It is late morning, and already the sun blazes lazily overhead, heating up this patch of steamy swampland. To the west, an old stone church stands crooked, leaning slightly to one side, casting a shadow that seems somehow To the west, an old stone church stands crooked, leaning slightly to one side, casting a shadow that seems somehow unnatural. To the north of this structure is a sprawling graveyard that is overgrown with untamed vegetation. Perhaps once it was well manicured, but now it is only a matter of time before the grounds are swallowed entirely by the choking vines. Except for the occasional rustle of leaves, either from an errant breeze or a slithering snake, silence hangs heavy in the cloying air.
I'm going to wait in the boat.
You're not going anywhere.
Who the hell said all those words?
Suddenly, Roy falls to his knees. Roy, I'm going to need to have to make you a pow roll, please.
Pow?
Pow, pow.
I need a 70. I got a 56. That'd be a success.
Nice.
So the doctor and Dan see Roy crumple to the ground, falling to his knees and sort of clutching his head. Roy, you managed to shake off a sense of weakness. Shake it off! Shake it off! Shake it off!
Uh-oh.
And, but you do see brief flashes of some sort of stone dais with a small black box sitting on top of it. And this flashes through your mind a couple times before quickly subsiding as you regain control by sheer act of will.
Smith.
And you shrug off the sudden attack. However, Doctor and Dan, as you essentially rush to help him get back up, you notice something unusual.
Mm.
You notice that it appears that the dots on the back of his neck have started to spread slightly. Oh, there goes Brian. Wait till he gets back. Wait for his inevitable text.
My internet went down.
Final Jeopardy music? Yeah.
Is he in your house, Gabe, by any chance?
Yeah, he definitely is.
He's right behind you.
It's coming from
inside
inside
right
the
now.
house.
I don't know why he's texting me.
He could just be tapping you on the shoulder. There he comes. Well, sort of. Oh, there he is. Yep, there we go.
And that's our show. Thanks for joining us, folks.
No idea what happened. I just went back and relaunched it.
Yep, that's
You're
fine.
stealing my gimmick.
Hold on, I got to open up my
Your what?
character sheet.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, you notice that the dots on the back of his neck have spread. So they appear to be there appears to be a line emanating from 2 points of the dots. I will also remind you to double check your notes from the keeper.
Can't tell me what to do.
Do we get more of those?
I have been adding as I've gone along. You may or may not have new fresh stuff.
Oh.
Well, I don't, so ha.
Yeah, Jeremy, I don't think I can do that when we're broadcasting on the internet. I'm pretty sure that's against FCC regulations. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Let me call George and find out.
Kidding me. The video keeps freezing.
Whose video?
All three of you keep freezing.
So you know how to refresh, right?
Yeah, that's what I did last time.
Yeah. So just keep doing that.
Weird.
And that's
Weird.
Just reconnect. You go to settings and go all the way down and do reconnect at the very bottom.
Quick, everybody stop moving and no one say a thing.
1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Reconnect.
Good.
Suppose.
Yep. Okay.
Welcome to
So
my world.
that's what you do if you see somebody free, is use that option. Okay. All right. So I'll let you guys take it from here.
Wait, hold that pose. Take a picture. This is totally the cover of my new indie band album. Thank you.
Wait, let me get right up there and I can unzip my pants.
No, that's
He's
not
on his knees. Roy, let me take a look at that.
Fine, go ahead.
It looks like it's spreading. It's acting like poison. Danny, come look at this.
I didn't think tattoos spread. But,
I think you may have been poisoned, my friend.
Call Slim Jimmy.
All right, let's give him a call. I'm not sure what we can do about this at this moment.
Well, let's keep an eye on it right now. I think our best bet is to head for the giant building in the distance.
Keep an eye out.
Seeing as that's where the thing in the drawing that Roy made is at, might be a good idea to start there.
Let's do it.
So we're going to gather up and start heading towards the stone church.
Are you okay to walk, Roy?
Yeah, it should be.
Roll for walk.
Roll for roll.
Now, if you've been poisoned, which is what I suspect, the only people who are going to have the cure is the cult. From Far Cry 5.
Hey, recommendos aren't until the end of the show.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, well, we better talk to him then.
All right, you know where they're at.
Inside the church. Come on, let's go.
Okay, let's go to the church.
Start
See if we can
walking
find
towards
them.
the building.
All right. So you make your way very slowly along the path westward towards the old church. As you go, you notice that the cemetery itself has clearly been overrun with vegetation. You can see many tombstones and crypts peeking out, but they've been mostly overrun with ivy and choking vines and kudzu. And as you approach the church, you see that the windows, whatever windows may have been there long ago, are broken out, missing, leaving only holes that gape lifelessly, except for some intact stained glass in the northern bell tower. There are some cracked steps that lead up to a splintered wooden door that is open and hangs slightly askew.
Was the view askew?
View askew?
Well, guess we don't have to knock. The door's open. And I'm going to pull out my phone and turn on the flashlight and step inside.
Okay. You make your way up to the front door, and indeed you can see that the wooden door is in pretty bad shape, but it's still hanging on through some very strong but rusty bolts in the framework. And as you pull it open, it is still hanging onto the hinges, so it's not like it's going to fall over like the gate did. And inside you can see a very dim light coming through. And is anybody else going in with him?
Roy, why don't you back him up, and I'll be right behind you.
All right, I'll go.
All right. So Dan steps inside. He notices that the air is cool and musty. There are rows of smashed wooden pews that lead up to a raised pulpit, upon which stands a tall robed figure, its back turned to you. Beyond, the back wall of the church is a fresco of painted tiles depicting the Last Supper, now faded to be nearly unrecognizable.
Shit. Before I go on, I'm going to be like, hey, guys, I don't think it's breaking and entering if it's already broken, right?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
they won't mind.
I think that may be the least of our worries.
I'm going to I'm going to unholster my gun, pull it out, point it up, finger not on the trigger, and yell, "You on the altar, spin around where I can see you, or else you may or may not end up with a bullet somewhere."
So your words ring out through the empty church, bouncing off the stone walls, and some birds that were roosting above flap out of one of the broken windows noisily, but the figure does not move.
Roy, I could really use some backup in here right now.
Hey, man, come on out.
Not helpful, Roy.
What do
Tell
you
you
want,
what.
man?
I'm going to spin to the figure one more chance before I give you a warning shot, and then after that, all bets are off.
Still, the figure...
Why are you so violent?
Still, the figure remains stationary.
I'm going to shoot at the ground near where he's standing.
Go ahead
I'm not
and
gonna
make
hit
me a
him.
roll.
The church collapses.
Oh, man.
Firearms roll, please.
Ta-da. Oh, I needed a 43 and I rolled a 55. That's a fail.
Okay. Tell me how that fails.
Roy, being as high as he is right now, bumps into me when I try and shoot my gun, and it goes up, and the bullet goes wide into the rafters.
All right. And a cloud of dust and splinters rains down. And I'm going to need Roy to make a spot hidden, please.
Okay. So I need a 70. I got a 24, which is a hard success.
So Roy bumps into Dan, who fires into the rafters. A cloud of dust rains down, and splinters as well. Plus a deafening boom resounds through the church, the ruined church. And Roy shades his eyes to protect himself from the debris that's coming down. And he notices there are some footprints in the entryway that lead towards the figure on the dais.
Amadeus?
Amadeus, rock me, Amadeus.
Dude, Falco's my favorite band of all time.
What is it you see, boys? What's in there?
There's someone standing up at the pulpit, and he's not responding to me telling him to turn around or me attempting to shoot him.
Yeah, you're looking in the wrong places, man. There's some footprints over there.
What did he say?
What footprints? Roy apparently found some footprints.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
gonna
walk
peek
over to
around
the
Roy
footprints.
and look into the church and see what I see. I rolled a spot hidden. I needed a 25. I got an 84.
You see what looks to be an empty church. Looks pretty unassuming to you. I mean...
And you go blind.
I lean to look around Roy, and he steps back in front of me.
it seems pretty comforting to you. Like a nice place of worship. once upon a time, but kind of sad now.
Back in the day.
Yep.
Upon a time once. Well, are we going to go in?
Yeah, man. I'll show you those footprints.
All
See if you
right.
can talk to that dude.
Roy, go talk to him. See what he's doing here.
Hey, guy. I'll walk in to the church. Hey, guy.
Your words echo in the church.
Well, I guess he's busy.
Tell you what, Roy, you go from the left, I'll go from the right, and that way we can pin him in the middle there.
Whoa. Which way am I going?
Every which way but
you can-
loose.
If
you
you want,
whichever
you
way
can-
you want him, man.
Okay, I'm going to go with you, Daniel.
Left turn, Clyde.
That's fine. Okay,
I'm going to
you
snug up right behind Daniel. Like
might want to
using
pull
him
out
as
your
a-
gun, Roy, just in case things go sideways here.
Nah,
Okay.
You gotta have some faith in people, dude.
Just get over. You're on the right side. I'm on the left side. We're gonna get up there and pincer maneuver this guy.
All right, so we have Dan and the doc heading to the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
The left, not the right.
Right, and then we got Roy heading to the right. Now,
Left.
Roy, you're feeling a little strange right about now. You're not quite sure, but you think Rosita's stash might be kicking in.
Really?
Yeah, you're feeling
That's shocking.
You're feeling pretty good, but it's almost like the mosaic behind the dais is like pulsing with a vibrancy that in your mind is not possible, but it looks really cool. Just looks really cool.
You're so cool.
Dude, that looks so cool. And I'll walk up to the mosaic.
Roy, the guy you got.
Man, but this thing's pulsating, man. That's
No,
a cool word.
It's not. Look, we need
Dude,
to
this thing pulsates. You remember my life? That was like two like a while ago and like one trip ago.
Roy,
It's like pulsating like that thing was, man.
What is wrong with him, Daniel?
I've a feeling Rosita's stash might have just kicked in.
Oh. Does he always do drugs?
Not that I've ever seen. Most I've ever seen him is drunk, and usually when he's drunk, he just turns on Sports Center and falls asleep on the couch.
Well, I hate to say it, but this might slow the poison if there is stuff in his system.
We'll talk to someone about that later. Right now, I'm more worried about the thing standing at this pulpit.
Thing?
Well, if it was gonna attack us, it would have by now, dude.
Are you shouting across the church?
Well, you guys aren't exactly whispering.
All right.
Dude, I can
Enough
hear
of this.
sounds
I'm
right
going
now.
to walk up the center of the church up to the
So you're splitting off
figure.
from Dan?
Yeah, up to the figure, and say, "Excuse me, do you work here?"
There's no response.
I'm going to reach out and tap the person on the shoulder.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
He's sort of up on a dais, so you need to essentially
Climb a mountain,
well, no, it's like
or is it like four steps up?
It's like a stage, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I meant by approaching them.
Okay, so you're going to mount the dais,
Yeah.
and then okay, gotcha. And Dan, what are you doing while Roy is heading towards the mosaic behind
The mosaic.
dais, the back wall, sort of ignoring the figure. The doctor is approaching the figure. What's Dan doing?
I need to hire better people to work with. I'm going to sprint up the left side and kind of swing up onto the left side of the stage and just hold aiming at the guy.
Got it. Okay. Let's start with the doctor. So, doctor, you reach up, and just as you do so, you can quite clearly see that this is a wooden statue that has been clothed in ragged robes, and the figure is Jesus. He's been carved of wood, but has long since been rotted, so his eyes are missing.
Ooh.
Sort of dug out by something, maybe birds even. You're not quite sure. But that is what you see.
Does it look like Buddy Jesus?
Well, why don't you give me a spot hidden?
Excuse me, sir. Still a little hoarse from last recording.
10 days ago? Yeah, no, it doesn't seem very recognizable. You're barely able to make out the features of Jesus. But, you know, it seems pretty clear given the context of where you're at and the beard and so forth and so on.
Excuse me.
So that's what the good doctor sees. And, of course, Dan also sees this at this point. Roy, however, is unconcerned with the figure on the dais and has moved on to the tiled Last Supper fresco in the back wall. And Roy, I'm going to need you to make a spot hidden, please.
It's not real food, Roy. You can't eat it.
I needed a 70. I got a 36. I see how mad you just got right there.
Me?
Yeah, you.
No, I was super happy about that.
I was happy
I was
too.
just trying to swallow the beer. You notice that because you are Roy Arroyo, of course, you are very familiar with the Last Supper.
Yeah, man. I like food and God.
Absolutely. And so as you study this pictorial very closely and almost joyously, because there is still like this faint scintillating light emanating from the tile itself, it seems. It's almost a magical religious experience in a way. You do notice that everything appears to be pretty much the way that you remember from church. All of the positions of the attendants of the Last Supper are doing exactly what they have done in other pictorials and paintings. However, there's something unusual about the small bag that Judas is clutching. You know well that Judas was paid to obviously turn traitor against Jesus. But there's something very strangely familiar about the bag itself that is clutched in Judas's hand. You can't quite put your finger on it.
Keep calm and carry on. What?
Yeah, exactly. But it looks, at least from a couple feet away, it looks really familiar.
Yo, you know what's interesting about the Last Supper, man?
No, Roy. What?
So there's 13 people in this, the 12 apostles and, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 11 kids and a wife and me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 13 people.
Yep.
Anyway, I like God. So I obviously know the Last Supper, being a Catholic fellow.
Sure thing.
If you don't have at least 6 kids, you're going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something different about this one.
Sounds great, Roy.
What do you see that's different?
Well, Judas is like a dick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got like a bag to keep all his dick stuff in.
Mm-hmm. A sack.
But it's like a different thing here. I can't figure it out. It's probably these cultists don't know their Last Supper.
What do you mean it's different?
Well, look at it. I don't know how familiar with the Last Supper you are.
I'm not a religious man. I'm a scientist, sir.
Yeah, it's not mutually exclusive, but it's a pretty famous painting.
I'm gonna go up and take a closer look.
Well, they're talking about the Last Supper. I'm going to swing back around to the back of the church and try and find those footprints that Roy was talking about earlier.
Why don't you give me a spot hidden?
I needed a 68 and I rolled a 15. That is a hard success.
Hard.
Suddenly we're
All
pirates.
right, so the good doctor approaches Roy to see what the heck he's looking at. Meanwhile, Dan is taking a closer look at the footprints that lead up to the dais. And we'll go ahead and start with, how about the doctor? So, Doc, why don't you give me a spot hidden, please?
Absolutely.
So much spotting hidden.
I needed a 25 and I got a 33.
You don't see anything very unusual. You kind of think maybe Roy's maybe hit a little too much of that Rosita stash.
The gans.
Is kind of what you're thinking.
Oregano?
It looks pretty much as if the Last Supper is exactly how you've seen it in books and paintings and perhaps even in art galleries once upon a time. Roy, did you want to do anything else?
Hey, Roy, if the fresco's so pretty, why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
I guess I'll take a picture of it. And I'll take a picture of it.
All right, you take a picture of it.
My mind.
And Dan, you hop down off the dais and take a peek at the footprints, which you can clearly see now. I mean, there's been no attempt to obscure them. The footprints led directly from the entrance and presumably back out into the cemetery somewhere. But that's where they come from. And actually, with your hard success, you are able to see that the footprints are actually coming and going from the dais, and they appear to stop at exactly the statue of Jesus.
Interesting.
Well, it looks like whoever put that statue there did it fairly recently. I can see the footprints leading in and out. The question is who'd be coming to a place like this to put a statue, an old wooden statue in front of a pulpit? Like,
that's a really good question. Why don't we examine the statue while we're here?
Aren't we? Are we on one of those hidden camera shows?
Are we being punked?
Ha! Got
punked.
This is candid camera.
Punked.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, good point. I'm gonna head back up and take a closer look at our tree Jesus on the front dais there.
Okay. It appears to be, like I said, a rotted wooden statue. It is slightly bigger than man. It's not your size. It's maybe slightly bigger, maybe like 10% bigger. And as you're examining it, Dan, you do detect a faint, almost like saltwater smell coming from it. From the statue itself.
Hey guys, does this statue smell faintly of salt water to anyone else, or is that just me?
I'm gonna go up and smell it.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah,
Roll for smell.
It smells a little like musty, like slightly salty, but not much.
I wonder. I mean, think about it. Wooden statue smells like salt water. Figurehead? Anyone?
Well, if it's free, I mean.
In old times, people would often put wooden carvings or statues on the front of their ships. They're called figureheads. Whether it was possibly Jesus or, like a mermaid or something like that.
They're called boats.
Man.
Why would they pull it all the way in here?
That's a good question.
Doc,
I wonder.
Doc, why don't you give me some sort of education roll?
I'm smart.
Use edubation.
Could be whatever's higher, like history or
Okay.
Adjubation.
Edubation. Educational masturbation.
Or what was the other one?
Just anything that looks like it's.
I use language.
Language is not right, no, but it'd be education or something that would be history or.
Well, there's no education. So.
Yes, it's under power in your characteristics. EDU.
Wherever's higher.
I needed a 76. I needed, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I got a 74.
That's what we call a squeaker.
That's my first successful roll with this character,
Nice.
by the way.
So the doc is pretty sure that this thing is not, has never been on the mast of a ship. It looks pretty much like a statue. There's nothing to indicate on it that would indicate being on a boat. And it doesn't smell like the sea. It just has a faint, salty.
Fine, it came out of someone's aquarium.
In an old chest that goes bloop, bloop, bloop. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Well, let's check around the base and see if we can figure out why they put it in this particular location.
We should. We want to tip it over and see if there's anything on the bottom, like a artist's mark or something.
That's how you get zebra mussels, dude.
Yeah, let's do it. Roy, come over here real quick.
Well, I'll saunter over there.
Alrighty. So you saunter on over and grasp hold of it and do what?
Tip her back. Lay it down.
Lay it down. All right. So yeah, you lay it down and immediately you see there is a trap door.
How did I know that?
Obscured underneath the base of it.
Well, that explains why the statue's standing there.
And it is bolted from this side.
Roy, shoot it.
Okay. I'll pull out my gun and I'll shoot it.
I love that you never have to talk him into it.
As if the doctor would know to tell him that.
No, I know. That was a little bit of a
We'll let
reach.
that slide. We'll let this slide.
Maybe we shouldn't be shooting things when we're all standing this close to them.
What are you, an idiot?
Well, you going to shoot the lock or not, Roy?
I'm going to take a couple steps back.
All right, I'll shoot it.
No, it's guys, it's just a bolt. It's not a padlock.
I'll shoot the bolt.
Roy, we just have to slide it. You don't have.
It's too late. I've shot it.
I thought you meant it was bolted shut.
Yeah, it's just a bolt.
Okay.
That's what a bolt is.
A slide bolt, they're called.
Yeah, just a bolt.
Okay.
That's all.
It's a slide bolt that we can move. So let's move it. Let's check it out.
Yeah,
let's
you
check
can
it
absolutely move it if you like.
All right, I'm gonna go up and I'm going to move the slide bolt. Roy, put your gun away, please.
Okay.
I'm going. He does whatever we say. This is great. I'm gonna open up the slide bolt, and how does the door open up? I'm assuming just like a hatch.
Yes, absolutely. It swings up towards you.
I'm gonna
think Evil Dead.
Yes, that's what I was hoping for.
Yes.
I'm gonna wave. I'm gonna be behind it, so when it opens up, the lid is covering part of my body.
Gotcha. And
the
point
opening
it towards
is
those guys. Got it.
I'm gonna point it towards Dan.
Good.
And wave Dan in.
He can do that. He's a doctor, so he pulls up the trap door and then swivels the whole thing, including the hole, towards Dan.
I'm gonna gesture towards Daniel to come in and with his gun, ready to cover it.
All right, Dan.
I'm going to once again pull flashlight on top of gun in ready position and kind of slowly lean over the opening and look down into it.
All right. Roy, what are you doing during this?
I'm just going to look around.
Just keeping an eye out for things?
Yeah, I guess. Maybe I'll check on what they're doing.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and give me a spot hidden, please, Roy?
How long
You're just
going
to keep having me roll this till I lose, huh? Oh, well, it didn't work. I need a 70. I got a 29.
All right.
You should roll spot hidden when you're high more often. For some reason, it seems to work.
So at exactly the same time as the good doctor pulls open the trap door and Dan moves quickly towards the opening, Roy, you see a shape.
Triangle.
Towards the it appears to be a young woman, but she has a crocodile head, and she moves across a vestibule doorway, just across the dais, evidently leading towards the north end of the church, sort of back where you saw the stained glass that was still intact in that belfry.
I was unaware we were in Crocodile Dundee too.
So, Roy, the other guys are clearly busy. What do you do when you see this fleeting figure?
Hello,
I'll be right back.
She's there,
and
then
follow
yeah, sure, Roy. Just don't hurt yourself.
All right, so
Who am I kidding?
Roy goes in pursuit of the figure. All right, so Dan, you peer down the pit that has been opened by the good doctor, and you see a ladder that descends down into darkness, and you can clearly detect much cooler temperatures down there and a much stronger salt smell sort of emanating from the hole. And it's quite dark. Your phone only goes about maybe 7-8 feet down the ladder.
78 feet, that's a lot.
That's quite a lot. Yeah, it's all the way to the bottom and actually through the earth and down to China.
Wow. Because that's where China's at.
I'm going to regret this. I'm so going to regret this. I'm heading down into the hole, Doc. It seems like the salt smell is stronger down there, so maybe there's something there still. I don't know. I'm going to tuck my gun back into the holster, and while holding my phone as a flashlight kind of on the ladder, climb down.
I'm going to pull out my cell phone and use it as a flashlight as well to help guide him down.
Okay. But you're staying up top.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right. So Dan
is dead.
That's the end of Dan. No, Dan descends down into the depths, and his hand holding of the rungs of the ladder, and the ladder is just rungs essentially stuck into the rough-hewn tunnel leading downwards. But it's actually pretty roomy, so it's not super duper tight going down. But you are going down for about 20 feet. Whoa. So we'll leave you there for a second, and then Roy, you quickly give chase to this figure, and she leads you into what is essentially the northwestern section of the church, which again is had clearly been some sort of priest's quarters once upon a time, but everything is in disrepair and destroyed by time, rotted wood, furniture that has fallen into decay. There are even some vines growing up through the windows. But she continues to essentially lead you toward the back where the belfry is, at least one of the belfries in the northwest corner. And so you continue to give chase, and you feel somewhat befuddled. You're not quite sure if it's Rosita's ganja that is really affecting your capabilities, or if there's some other power at work here. But you feel very calm, and you feel almost playful in a way. Maybe not that calm. And she eventually leads you to the base of the steps, whereupon she turns her back to you and stands stock still at the base of the steps that lead up in a spiral to the belfry above. And the whole area is cast in a weird yellow-red light from the sunlight coming through the stained glass above. And you can see that her figure isn't quite stock still, even though her back is turned to you. It's sort of vibrating or shaking slightly.
So I'll take my shirt off.
Get out the stick of butter.
Remember, kids, hugs, not drugs.
I'll walk up and sort of like grab her shoulder or like scales or whatever.
As you do so, you realize just before your hand touches her shoulder that the vibrating or shaking is actually her laughing. And now that you're very close to her, you can sort of hear this dry chuckle. And you touch her shoulder, and it collapses to the ground. And the only thing left is the robe that she was wearing.
So I'll pick up the robe,
As
and
you
I'll
do
sort of
so,
look.
you pick up the robe in sort of curious befuddlement, and something falls away from the robe onto the ground with a clatter.
$20, yo.
A 20% off coupon for Bed Bath & Beyond.
Oh.
Sweet. I need some scented candles.
All right, well, I'll put the robe on to save space, and I'll pick up the thing that... Well, I'm not wearing a shirt, so I gotta keep warm. And I'll pick up the thing that fell.
It's very strange. It looks like a... It is. It's a clip for a handgun. And it's full of bullets, but there's no handgun around.
So I'll pull out my gun,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll see if it fits into my gun.
Let's see Royo. Let's see what kind of gun you have.
I don't have a gun with a clip in it, so...
You got a 6-shooter, so yeah, that'd be pretty rough, right?
I have a revolver, so...
Technically, it's a magazine, not a clip. There's a difference, and we will make people very angry if we do not get this right. Trust me.
All right, roll the clip.
I guess I'll go back and see if Dan dropped his clip.
Magazine.
Well, it's from your very capable eyes now. You can tell that this is a clip from a Ruger 22.
Well, it'd help if I knew what kind of gun that Dan had.
You're pretty sure that he doesn't have that. You know Dan well enough.
God, no.
Dan has a very nice...
I have a semi-auto Colt 45.
Colt 45.
How would I know he's afraid of guns?
You've seen him use it occasionally and miss horribly. And actually, just a couple minutes ago.
It's because Roy bumped me because he was high, okay? That's not my fault.
So yeah, this is from a Ruger 22, which for some reason seems familiar, but you're not quite sure why.
Wow.
All right, let's cut back to Dan and the Doc.
It's a new show on ABC.
So Doc, you notice Dan has pretty much reached the bottom. You can barely see his light at the very bottom. He's 20 feet down now. And
Daniel, are you okay down there?
It's kind of dark.
You said shut the lid? Okay.
I'd say it's about a 20-foot drop. Just a little more
Shouldn't
than
you
I
use
thought.
the ladder?
I'm going to take a moment to kind of just pan back and forth with my flashlight and see what I see.
Cool. Yeah, so it appears to be rough-hewn cavern. Maybe once upon a time this was a subterranean cave of sorts, but it's clearly been finished by someone who had good tools, probably by the church at one point. And so where you're at right now is a landing that's maybe about 20 feet wide, and there are two corridors leading off into the darkness. And the corridors leading off are more or less tunnels. The floor is sort of uneven. There is moisture everywhere, pretty much. Slightly salty smell, and there is moss growing on the walls and even on the floor. You do see there is evidence of footprints coming and going.
Well, looks like someone chiseled out some kind of cavern down here.
Should I come down or should I go get Roy?
You go get Roy. With him high on drugs, who knows what he's getting into. I'm going to stay here and check their footprints down here. It looks like someone's been coming and going.
Gross. I'm out. Roy!
He finds me humping the robe with the gun in my mouth.
Nice.
Nothing like a good rope hump. Am I right, guys? All right, so the doc calls out for Roy, and I'll leave it up to you guys to figure that out.
Roy, where are you?
Polo.
I follow the voice and find him wearing a robe.
All right, you do?
Where did you get that? Roy, come here.
I found it.
Why are you way over here?
Dude, there's a spiral stairs that we should go up.
Well, we have to assist Daniel currently. He found a trap door and he's down 20 feet below this church.
Well, why would you go down when you can go up?
I didn't. He did.
Yo, that's his prerogative.
You think we should go up?
Yeah.
Okay, you first.
I'll go up the spiral stairs.
All right. Doc, what are you doing?
Going back to the boat.
To the what?
Dumbasses. I'm gonna follow
boat.
Roy. I'm gonna stick with Roy.
All right. So Roy and
He's really high as a kite.
Roy and the doc head up, hugging the wall, and follow the spiral staircase up towards the belfry. Dan,
Are there bats in there?
yeah, we'll see in a minute, won't we? Daniel, damn Daniel. So you're standing at the base, and clearly the doctor has left, but you can still see the dim light of the open trapdoor above.
Should not have let the high guy run away with the doctor who doesn't know how to investigate anything.
Doctor,
I told you I was leaving, and you didn't object.
It's because you're high. I just assume that everything you see is fake.
And as you're thinking this, you hear a scraping sound coming from further down the corridor. That's about right. That's about right. Exactly.
I'm going to immediately unholster my gun and kind of slide up next to the wall, on the wall where the opening is down that corridor, and I'm just going to stand there for a minute and see if the sound gets any louder or any closer.
It was about that quick, and then you can hear it sort of softly reverberating throughout the cavern, but that's the only sound you hear.
Okay.
Other than maybe some faint dripping.
Someone around here has to actually do some investigating every now and then. Go figure. So I'm
He
going
says
to
to himself.
yes, in an empty cavern. Are there any like rocks or anything on the floor of the cavern, or is it like just the moss and the dirt and
Why don't you give me a luck roll?
I need to scroll up for that.
Damn the luck.
I
Can't
needed
do
a
it, man.
52 and I rolled a 37. That is a successful luck roll.
Absolutely. You find all the rocks you need.
Cool. I'm going to make a pair of arrows out of rocks on the ground, pointing from the ladder. One pointing from the ladder towards the tunnel I'm going down, and a second one at the entrance of the tunnel, pointing in that same direction. Okay. So that way, if they come down, they have a pair of arrows showing which way I went.
Not a problem.
Nice.
Don't go that way. Nobody goes that way.
And then I'm gonna grab a couple of handfuls of rocks and stick them in my pocket so I can kind of drop them as I go along, like breadcrumbs.
Got it. Cool. And so basically there are two corridors. One is clearly heading as near as you can figure in a westward direction. The other one is going more towards the north.
Could I tell from the scrape which corridor the scraping noise was coming from?
You're pretty sure it was probably coming from the west.
Okay, then I'm going to head down the west-facing corridor.
All right, let's switch back to the Doc and Roy. So the staircase going up towards the belfry is in actually pretty good condition for some odd reason. It seems to be very nice. At least hasn't been degraded by time or worn by any kind of vandalism over the years. Just seems very, very good. There's bird shit everywhere. That's one thing you do notice. And it goes all the way up to the top to the belfry. And there probably was once upon a time a bell that hung up here, but it's long been destroyed or scavenged in some way, shape, or form. What you're most interested in, however, is the very tiny landing at the very top of the belfry is has all of the stained glass intact. It is decorated in a fresco of some unusual imagery. And what you see is, Roy is first to see this, is some stained glass that is done up in a almost surreal sort of fragmented style. But you can clearly make out that one of the figures in the stained glass at the very top of the belfry is a young woman with a crocodile head. The doctor notices that what catches his eye is towards the north end of the belfry, the northern piece of stained glass, is what appears to depict a gathering of robed individuals, all dressed in white, with a familiar symbol etched on the front of their robes. A sort of star with a sun and a moon and clouds and lightning.
With something in the middle?
With something in the middle. Etched on the front of their robes, and they're all standing ringed around what appears to be a black cube.
Ooh. Tesseract.
And at that moment, the southern stained glass piece of window shatters.
Oh, shit.
And something flies into the belfry. Dan.
Yeah.
You're creeping along the corridor underground. And it seems like as you inch along, the temperature in the corridor is getting warmer and warmer. So you're not quite sure if maybe you're approaching the surface, which you know to be quite warm. Even though it is October, it's still Louisiana. And the humidity is becoming a bit oppressive down here. There's also a slight change to the salty air that is almost like roadkill that has been left out in the sun way too long, so it almost doesn't stink anymore. It's been cured in a way. And you hear another scrape just ahead. Seems much closer than the last time. And you've probably gone maybe 90, 100 feet away from the entrance.
Okay, I'm going to kind of like crouch down and start very slowly, gun forward, creeping towards the scraping noise.
All right. So you creep further and further, and it's getting more and more damp and musty, moist even. Do you like that word, moist?
It's a moisty mire. Oh.
And sweat trickles down the back of your neck. And you can see just ahead, the corridor opens up into a larger chamber. And it's at that moment that you realize the smell is quite familiar now. You smelled it back at Blaine Manor that night when the intruders broke in. And I think that's where we need to call it.
Oh my God, baby Jesus.
You want to give us a hint of what's coming flying through the window?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Actually, no. No, I don't want to.
You sure you don't want to just tell us what it is?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this. Tune in next time for more of Chapter 6, The Big Uneasy.
I don't really feel like it.
Text me later, okay? Text me later?
So how do we like that, guys?
It's getting good. Holy crap.
Do you
said
like
this
my
would
very-
move slow. It did not move slow.
Like my very loose interpretation of a high person.
Yeah, that was good.
I liked it a lot, actually. It was very
It
fun.
was just oregano, dude. Chill.
Can you imagine
7
Rosita's
foot tall
like,
women, man. You don't get it.
just oregano. All right.
Oregano.
I love the WNBA.
Oh,
Who doesn't?
so good. So nice. It's beautiful.
All right. Well, now it's time for some recommendos. So why don't we go ahead and start with Brian?
Yes. Well, my one recommendo had to get canceled because I couldn't find a legit source to watch it. So I'm going to recommend Far Cry 5. Now, just be careful when you play this. I'm not going to give anything away, anything that people already know. You get immersed in it pretty damn quick. And it's hard to stop playing. Not so much for the storyline, just because there's nonstop action in this game, no matter where you're at. And it's a complete open world, and it's huge. We've only had it, well, we got it, a couple weeks after it came out, something like that?
Yeah.
And
They live together and share games and everything
I've
else.
got a lot of hours into this game already, and you can ask Matt. Sometimes we'll chat live, and I'll say, "All right, I'm jumping off," and then an hour later, okay, I gotta get going. An hour later, it's midnight.
Like, didn't you say you were getting off 3 times already?
Hey, we didn't want to talk about that on the podcast.
What is he, a teenager or something?
I don't have that kind of stamina, you son of a. Highly recommend it. Go out and try it. It's definitely worth the money.
I don't
You're
know
gonna
what
get
Far Cry
entertained.
is, so tell me all about it.
Far Cry 5 or Far Cry at all?
Anything.
Well, when it initially started,
They're very loosely related.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
Well,
because
tell
the
me about
initial
Far Cry
one.
5. What is it?
Well, I don't want to give anything away. I can give
No,
the
you say that
synopsis
every time. Just tell me all about it.
Okay.
It's your
Okay.
mom.
Far Cry 5, you are a not a sheriff, a
Deputy with the U.S.
deputy
Marshals.
with the U.S. Marshals going in to shut down a cult that has started up and taken over an entire valley in Minnesota.
Montana.
Stardew.
So what you're doing is you're going in to arrest the leader of this cult. Sorry,
And your
my time's
phone
up.
goes off.
And everything goes to shit because he's got basically the entire valley drugged up in doing whatever he wants and whatever he says.
The cult leader does.
The cult leader does. And he's got his siblings and this woman broken up into territories that you have to go into to stop them and shut down what they're doing individually as you play. But there's all these side things that you can do where people need help. Hey, they stole my plane, or they've kidnapped my family, or here's a stash that I have if you need ammo or weapons while you're out. Here's a map to try to get to that. You can hunt animals. You can fly planes, drive boats, cars, helicopters. You have flight suits. You buy different weapons and upgrade your weapons. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but I heard this game is racist, so I can't play it.
It is?
Depends.
Yeah.
What's Twitter saying is racist this week?
Oh, true.
Everything.
Is it first person, third person?
First person.
Okay, cool. Wow.
First person. Yeah. You get different companions that you can hire to go with you on jobs.
People and animals.
And animals that if you rescue certain animals, they'll be available for you to have as a companion or a pet that would follow you around and help you fight. You can fish, skin animals,
fish as a
sell
pet.
your skins and and depending on how you hunt for them, they're worth more if you do it with a bow and arrow versus a sniper
So it's
rifle.
Skyrim. Got it.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of Skyrim, how immersive it is and how much you can fall into it. Yeah, nobody got shot in the knee, though.
Are you the Dragonborn though?
Yeah, yep. That's what I call myself.
Fusro Da.
A lot of customization, some silly stuff. But I could go on for hours.
How dare you say my
Please
hot
do.
neon pink 44
Cry
Magnum
five.
was ridiculous.
Yeah, get in the game.
EA Sports?
All right, cool. Let's skip on over to Matt.
Oh, I'm also going to tell people to play a game.
Is it Far Cry 3?
No, it's Far Cry 5. No, I'm saying people should pick up and give the game called Cuphead a try. Cuphead Cuphead is
Only if it's free.
part platformer, part boss rush, where you play the titular character Cuphead, and what he does is he falls into a really deep gambling debt. And to get out of this debt, he signs a deal with the devil that he has to go around and collect all the souls of all the people who have also made deals with the devil in order to get out of having to go to hell forever. But the cool part is the entire thing is animated like a 1930s or 40s like Fleischer style cartoon. So, it's the really old school cartoony style. It's incredibly well done. The whole thing is hand animated. There's a little bit of computer for touch-ups, but they hand drew all the enemies and all the cycles and everything. And it has a really, really great like 30s and 40s jazzy big band style soundtrack to go with it that is absolutely incredible.
Like
And
Bioshock?
it is, yeah.
It's BioShock, basically.
Yeah.
It's the same game.
And it is a game that has a reputation for being difficult, and that is fair. It is one of those games where you have to learn. A lot of the boss fights you're going to die a lot because you have to learn the patterns and the where you can fire and when you need to run and when you need to duck. But it's not frustratingly difficult. It's just enough that when you finally overcome that challenge, it's a really big win and you feel really good about yourself. And it's an amazing game.
But also it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
I got frustrated too, but it's fun.
I also, yeah.
It is fun.
Cuphead. We'll check that out, won't we, Thomas?
Yes.
I play it already. So.
Yes. I
I'm talking
played
to
as well.
Thomas. Not talking to you.
Oh.
All right. I'll go next. I'm going to recommend not quite a horror film, but sort of a thriller called Cold Hell, from 2017. Directed by Stefan Rosawiecki, starring Violetta Shoelawa and Tobia Moretti. And this is clearly a foreign film.
Sounds communist to me.
Well, yeah, I think that's sort of it is. It takes place in Berlin, so I think Berlin or Germany.
Which Berlin?
Yeah, which Berlin? East or what? No, it's all Berlin now. Anyways, so it follows the tale of a young illegal immigrant woman who is working in Germany, who drives a cab to make ends meet. And unfortunately, she witnesses a brutal murder across the street from her apartment. And of course, since she's an illegal immigrant, the police are not super thrilled about doing anything for her. They don't really even believe her story. And she can't really press things because she's illegal. But unfortunately for her, the serial killer who made the killing across the street begins to stalk her. And this is it's pretty rough. The guy goes around killing women, much in the same vein as Seven. Oh. It's not exactly a rape revenge film. He does things to women. He doesn't necessarily rape them, but he does some violence against them. And he may actually have sex with them because mostly they're prostitutes. So she takes it upon herself to exact revenge on him after he catches up to her and does some very brutal, violent stuff to her. She lives through it because she's a tough lady, a tough woman who also knows how to box and cage fight, which is kind of fun. And it kind of turns out to be like this sort of hard-boiled neo-noir that reminds me a lot of the old grimy 80s thrillers. So a little bit of Seven, a little bit of The Long Goodbye from the 70s. If you ever saw the Elliot Gould detective show or detective movie. And it also it takes great pleasure in taking some of those male-oriented detective stories and turning them on their head and essentially making her the hero or the detective of the story because she's forced to be. And it's got a very brutal, satisfying, and refreshing end to it. So I highly recommend Cold Hell. I saw it on Shudder. It was it made the 2017 festival circuit, and nice. A lot of people talked about it, so I added it to my list, and I'm really happy that I saw it because it's quite actiony, and it goes to places that you think you know where it's going to go, but it ends up subverting your expectations. So check that out.
Thank you. I will.
Cold Hell. All right, Gabe, how about you, buddy?
So whenever I wake up on the day of a recording, I like to plan my recommendos out early, except when I don't, which is decently often. But I had one all set up for today, and I was all ready and all excited to talk about it because I got my list and I know which ones are coming up in a few weeks. But oh no, I had to change it because today's recording just fits so well with one I had coming down the pike. So instead of recommending an album, I'll be recommending a movie that is also an album. Oh. Because it's a movie musical. Because it's a Reefer Madness, the musical. Oh. And I'm a big fan of exploitation films from the early 19th century. I think they're hysterical, especially from a modern view. And Reefer Madness pretty much takes the cake because it's just really funny and a lot of fun. So if you haven't seen Reefer Madness, give that a check out. But Reefer Madness, the musical, is in itself excellent as well. You don't necessarily need to have seen Reefer Madness to enjoy it. But basically the story is it's a guy who he's getting kids hooked on reefer, and it's causing a madness around. And they're all wholesome teenagers until the reefer gets them, and then they became the devil incarnate.
Government propaganda.
Yeah. Kristen Bell's in it, which is, that's interesting. She's a better singer than I thought she is. But it's, it's mildly offensive. It's from 2005, so it's probably racist and awful and sexist and terrible by today's standards. I mean, that was like 13 years ago. Come on. But it's a lot of fun. There's one scene. Oh, well, first of all, the best scene, a guy has sex with a brownie. That happens. So I feel like that alone is enough
brownie,
of a
though?
reason. What?
Was it a fudge brownie?
Yeah, of course it was. Enough of a reason to watch it is that. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. The music's all good. It's really funny to watch these kids descend from wholesomeness to just being the worst human beings alive. There's a scene where he's stealing from his church and Jesus comes down to warn him about pot. So, it's I'm sure you could be offended by it if you're of that vein, but it's a lot of fun. Nice. So give that a check out.
Cool.
Baby, don't fear the reefer.
Yeah, that's the opening song.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Lovecraft Tapes. Thank you for listening, especially you, Thomas Douglas.
Oh, my.
Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Music, Podbean, Stitcher, or anywhere you download your regular podcasts, as long as it's Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or Stitcher. If you like what you hear, please leave us a review. Meanwhile, you can find us at thelovecrafttapes.com with links to all of our recommendos and social media channels, including Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, and our Discord server where you can chat with us in real time. You can find me on Twitter at Lovecraft Tapes.
And if anybody wants an exclusive signed pre-order copy of 20 Feet Down a Dark Hole, The Lifetimes and Presumably Violent Death of Detective Dan Williams, hit me up on Twitter at TheRealWeirdKid.
And if anybody wants to warn me of the dangers of the ganja, you can find me at our Patreon. Give us money. I mean, at Lovecraft Gabe.
Subtle. Real subtle.
They didn't notice.
You can find me on Twitter at Brian Podcasts.
So innocuous.
Until
next time, roll for sanity. And stopping Audacity. And we're stopping the stream. So goodbye, Dad.
Bye, stream.
Bye.